Hello everyone, I welcome you all to my CSS3 tutorial. Today is day 1 of CSS3 tutorial. I already published few more videos on HTML5. So if you guys want to learn HTML5, please go through my HTML5 videos. In this video you will find my link to my YouTube channel where you can get the HTML5 videos along with some of the Angular concept videos. Please go through that HTML5 video before coming to CSS3 concept. So guys, let me introduce myself. My name is Anilkar. I am having 6 years of experience. I am here to help you guys in CSS3. So let's gear up to learn CSS3 concept. So first of all, I will ask you guys, what do you mean by CSS? Please pause the video and answer. Okay. CSS means CSS stands for cascading style sheet. And why we need CSS? CSS is basically needed to give some look and feel to our website, and HTML is needed to present the content in our website, but CSS is needed to give look and feel to our website. Look and feel covers the design aspect, layout aspect, and displaying of different elements in different devices and screen also being covered in CSS. So CSS basically is used to give some styling to our HTML element or to give some look and feel to our website. Okay. So first of all, we learn how to apply CSS. To apply CSS, we need a selector and a declaration block. So selector will learn first selector. So this is our let me comment this. So if you see, this asterisk is one of the selector. This is the universal selector that is applicable to all the HTML element, to the entire document. Whatever the CSS being written within the asterisk, that is applicable to entire document. So this is the selector, and this curly braces you can say declaration block, and each line is called the declaration. So CSS syntax is, first of all, you have to write the selector. Selector means the HTML element in which you want to apply the CSS. Then we have to write the declaration block within the curly braces. Then we have to write the declaration having key and value pair. This is the text align is the CSS property, and having value center means whatever the text we are writing within our document, that will be displayed in the center of our browser. And color is pink, means this is for the text color. This is another property. If you see, each declaration is separated by a semicolon. This is the semicolon. This is the first declaration. This is the second declaration. So this is the syntax we have to follow. We have to separate each declaration by using a semicolon, and key value pair are separated by using the colon. So this is the syntax of CSS. So we are applying this CSS when text align and color is pink to entire document. We'll see how our website looks. So let me comment these two lines. We'll see in a bit. So I have applied some universal selector having color as pink and text align in center. So that will be applicable to our P element. Means it will be applicable to all the element within our document. So we have only one P element, so it is applicable to P element. We will see how it looks. So let me launch my page. So I am using Visual Studio Code, and here we go. See, so it is like it is not clearly visible. It is in pink color. So let me change the color to something else. Let's suppose what color I will use, orange. Okay. See, it is being displayed in the orange color. So the CSS which is being written in the asterisk symbol, all those CSS are being applicable to our P element. So if you write one more p element like that, p, this is second css. So if you see, again the same css being applicable to second css. So these two are displayed at the center and color is orange. Why it is being displayed in center? Because we have used text align as center. And why it is displayed in orange color? Because we have used color as orange. So this is the use of the universal selector. Means whatever the CSS written within the universal selector, that is applicable to the entire document. So see, so what I will say, like there are different kind of selector in CSS. First of all, we have simple selector. Simple selector covers element selector, class selector, ID selector. These are the category of simple selector. The second category is combinator selector, where we define a combination of selector. And third category is pseudo class selector. Fourth is pseudo element selector. Fifth is attribute selector. We'll look into all the selector one by one. So first of all, we will cover the simple selector. And simple selector, in simple selector there are three category. One element selector, second one the ID, and third one the class. So let's cover the element selector. So now I want to apply my CSS to the all p element that is being present in our website. So there are two p element. I want to apply my CSS to this p element. How we can do? Let me uncomment this. So I have applied color as blue for the p element. We'll see. See, both the p element are displayed in the blue color. If you are seeing, both the p element are displayed in blue color. Why it is blue color, not orange? So because this element selector, this is called element selector because we have specified the element name p tag. So p tag or p means the element selector having more specificity, or we can say more priority than that of this universal selector. So this color blue is overriding the color orange, because this blue color which is written within the element selector having the highest priority than that of universal selector. That's why it is overriding. I guess it is not like that we have written in second, that's why it is being displayed in blue color. Even if you move this element selector to the top of the universal selector, then also we will find the same, means blue color is applicable to all p element. See, till then also blue color is applicable to all p element. So this means our element selector is having highest priority than that of universal selector. So our specificity is most important concept in CSS, means we have to keep it in mind which one having highest priority or highest specificity. So this is about how we can use element selector. In element selector, if we are providing any CSS, that will be applicable to all the p element or all the element that is being here. If it is a div element, then it will be applicable to all div element. Okay. This is about the element selector. Let me comment it and uncomment the below to code. Okay. Let me uncomment this again. Yeah. See, now we learn what is ID selector. Okay. So let's suppose let me uncomment these two also. Let's suppose there are three p element and I want some CSS to apply to the p element having a specific ID. So for ID selector, we have to use ID attribute, then some convenient name. So this convenient name should be unique in our entire HTML page or entire application. This ID means how we can represent in CSS. This is being represented by using a somewhere I have written here, I think, yeah. So ID selector is being represented by using a hash symbol, hashtag, then ID name. then we will specify the CSS. So this hashtag ID name means it will select those, it will select means one HTML element having ID as para1. Why it is select only one or a specific HTML element? Because ID is unique, it cannot be used for multiple elements. Okay, so now the requirement has changed. We want to apply the CSS to this P element, some different CSS. Means I want to display this P element in red color and above to P element in blue color. How we can do that? Let me save it. Let's go to the browser. See, first two P element are displayed in blue color, second one is displayed in red color. So let me resize my window a little bit for more understanding. So if you are seeing, these first two P element are displayed in the blue color and third one is displayed in the red color. Because third one is having different CSS, because we have given ID and we have given some CSS to that ID. So here what we learn is like ID selector is having more priority than the element selector as well as to the universal selector. So ID is having highest priority. Okay, because here we are using blue color and below we are using the red color, and red color is being applicable to the third P element because we have given some ID to that element. So this is having the P element having with some ID. Any element with some ID is having the highest priority, highest specificity. ID is having highest specificity. So I think up to this clear. See, in every concept we are covering the specificity because it is important in CSS to learn the specificity. So let me uncomment these two. Okay, something wrong happened. Individually I will uncomment. Maybe something goes wrong. Okay. So now what I want some CSS. See, I want this H1 element and this H2 element should be displayed with same CSS. Two different elements having the same CSS. So if you want to repeat our CSS to different element, we can use the class equal to some convenient name, and this convenient name how we are representing in CSS using a dot, then class name dot, or you can say period with a class name. Okay, let me uncomment the above two. Okay, so here the syntax is the period symbol, then class name. So here means whatever CSS is written, this is applicable to those elements having class as center. So in our HTML we have two elements having class as center. So this CSS will applicable to both these two elements, means H1 and H2 tag. We'll see in a bit. So we have applied green color. Okay, and here is the two H1 element. One is header with class, one specific header. If you scroll down, see those two H1 and H2 tag are displayed in green color. You are seeing, right? So this is because we have applied green color to that. And why it is being displayed so smaller in size? Because we have applied a font size of 10 pixel. So just remember, we can increase or decrease the size of our text by using the font size. Okay, let me comment this one more important property, then it will be back to our normal size. See, these two header tag are displayed in a green color because both having the class as center. So we use class selector when we want to apply the same CSS to more than one element. But for ID, we use when we want to apply some CSS to a specific element. Please keep it in mind. And let me tell you, so one more thing also we can do, like if we want to understand the specificity between ID and class. See this, so let me comment the below two, which is of no use now. above two paragraph also for better clarity. Okay, see, we have one p element in which we have applied id as well as center, means as well as the class. So for id para1 we have provided the css as color is red. If you are seeing here, color is red. For center we have provided the css as color as green, but it is displayed in means red color, means id color is applicable, but it is not because id is displayed below. We can reverse this also. If we are putting that at the top also, always it will be displayed in red color, because from this what we learn, id is having highest priority than that of class also. If we are commenting this id, then the class means it will be displayed in green color. Whatever written in within the class, that will be applicable, this color is applicable. So from this what we learn, class is having highest priority than that of element selector, than that of universal selector. Okay, so if we like talk about the specificity in decreasing order is, first id is having highest priority, then center means class is having the second highest priority, then we have element selector is having the third highest priority, and last one goes to the our universal selector. So first priority is id selector, then class, then element, then universal selector. So this is the specificity sequence in decreasing order. Okay, please keep it in mind, it will be helpful to you guys a lot. Let me comment this. Okay, so where we are here, right? Okay, so here one more concept, like how we can apply more than one class to a single element. So if you want to apply more than one class to a single element, you have to separate the class name by using some space. So there are two classes, center is one class, large is another class, which is applicable to the same p element. We will see how it looks. See, so if we are means writing two classes, whatever the css present in this class, that will be applicable, and whatever the css present in this class, that also be applicable. If the same css is present, then whichever written at the means at the last, that css will be applicable. We'll see. If you have confusion, we will go to our code. See, so let me comment this one's other code, which is of no use now. We have already done with those codes, so we will comment those. Okay, so we have two classes, large and center, which is applicable to the same element. Okay, same element means same p tag, and in center we have css, text align, and color. In large we have css, font size, and color. First of all, we will comment this css. Okay, so first whatever written in this class, that will be applicable, because we have given large class to the p tag. Once it is applied, then whatever written in the center class, that also be applicable. So both the css in both the classes will be applicable. This is if different css is present. If the same css is present, let's suppose here we have red color, here also we have green color, and we have given these two classes to the same p element, then whichever written at the end, that css will be applicable for the common css property. So color is the common css property, so the center class is at the end, so that's why this green color will be applicable to our html element. Whichever is at the last, that will be applicable, that's why it will be displayed in green color. Likewise, we can also override the font size that is written in large class in the below class also. So in the large class, font size is 300%. Here we are decreasing the font size. So it is center is written at the last. That's why this property, this is the common property between both of the classes. So as it is written last, so that's why it will be applicable. We will see if we will save this. See, the font size decreases. So it is having the font size of 10 pixel. So this is the specificity. Means if two elements, or if we are applying the two classes to a single element, and the classes having the same specificity, So whatever written at the last, those CSS is applied to that specific HTML element. Means the common CSS which is at the last, that will be applicable to that specific element. Likewise, like if you see color and font size is we are overriding, because center is in the last class which is being applicable to the P element. Here the sequence of the class is not matter. We can write large, first, center, second, that won't matter. Matter is how we are declaring, means which one first, which one second in CSS file. If we will move the center class at the top, then everything which is within the large class, that will be applicable. The CSS property that is within the large class, that will be applicable. Means now the font size will increase and color will be displayed in red color if we will save this CSS. So this is the specificity. If two selector having the same specificity, so whichever the selector which is declared last, that those CSS will be applicable to that element for the common CSS properties. Okay, so please keep it in mind. And let's suppose now the requirement is, even though this large is declared at the end, but I want this green color should not override, or the common property means color and font size should not override. How we can write that? We can add like this center and large are applicable to P element. If we add here P, so it means P element having class center. This is this way we can treat P element having class center. Now we have added the one extra element. So now this specificity of this declaration block or this selector get increased. So even though it is declared at the top, so whatever written within this for the common properties, means for the color and font size, that will be applicable. Now everything will be displayed in the green color and font size is 10 pixel. See, this is because the specificity increases by adding the element selector with the class selector. Okay, we'll remove this. Now it will back to the red color, because large is declared at the last class. So that's why whatever written within the large class for the common property, that will be applicable. Okay, I think up to this it is clear. So it is one of the important concept, like the relationship between the specificity, which one is having the highest specificity, which is having the lowest specificity. Okay, so let me comment this also, no need. Okay, so let me resize my browser a little bit, everything will be visible. Okay, now we are done. Okay, so this is all about the, so we have learned element selector. First we learn universal selector, then element selector, then ID selector, then class selector. In specificity sequence, ID selector is having highest priority, then class selector, then element selector, and universal selector. Up to this it is clear, right? So next we will go to the, means we have covered the simple selector, all the category of simple selector. Now we will go to the combinator selector. So we'll uncomment this one. So combinator selector means the CSS is applicable to those selectors which is having a relationship between them. Okay, so we'll see what is that relationship in a bit. So let me go to the combinator selector. So this is the first combinator selector. There are different category of combinator selector. First of all, we will learn about the descendant combinator selector. This is the syntax. See now the, so let me comment it again so that it will give more clarity. Let me save it. Okay, so if you are seeing, there are not three actually, so there are 5 paragraphs. So I want the CSS to be applied to the first 3 paragraphs. I don't want any CSS for the last 2 paragraphs. How we can do that? If you see, these first 3 paragraphs are within the div tag. Means div is the parent for these 3 p tag, and these 2 p tag, paragraph 4 and paragraph 5, are outside the div tag. they are not the means for these two p tag div is not the parent, rather it is a sibling. So in descendant selector means will the syntax is like this. Div means actually the syntax is parent element, some space, then child element. It means whatever the CSS is written within this block will be applicable to that child element which is under the parent element. Means whatever the CSS written here, that will be applicable to p element, those p element which are within the div element. Means those p element which are children of div element. We'll see. These three p element are children of div element. That's why the CSS being applied. If we go to the HTML, see this three. This is the first, this is the second, this is the third p element. Okay, so all this means all three p element CSS being applied, because these three are children of this div, but the last two are not the children of the div, so that's why no CSS is applied. This is the descendant selector, use of descendant selection. Syntax is parent space child. Now we'll run one more combinator selector, that is children selector. Now the requirement is I want to apply CSS to those p element which are direct children of div element. Direct children means first two are the direct children of div element, but this last p element is not the direct children because it is within the another tag. So I want the CSS to apply to only the direct children of div element. How we can do the syntax is div greater than symbol, means parent selector greater than child selector. Means whatever written within this block, this CSS property will applicable to the child element, child selector, which are direct children of the parent selector. This is applicable to all p element which are direct children of div element. We'll see how it looks. See, CSS is applicable to only the first two paragraph, because first two are the direct children of div. Third one is not the direct children. Last two are the siblings. They are not neither the children nor the descendant. So we'll comment this one also. So now comes the sibling concept. Okay. Now the requirement has changed. So now the requirement is. We want to apply some CSS to the sibling element. Sibling means these are the siblings. Why it is called sibling? Sibling means we should have a same parent, like brother sister. So those are means brother and sister are the siblings. They have the same parent. So this two p element and this div element are the siblings because they have one parent. For parent you have to scroll to the top to see which is the parent. So we'll find body is the parent because no more tag is above the div tag. So body is the parent. So for the div and these two p element, body is the parent, means this is having the same parent. So these are the siblings. This div and these two p, three of us are the siblings, and I want to apply some CSS to the first p element, which is a sibling of this div element. We don't want to apply the CSS to the second sibling. We want to apply sibling first sibling. This first sibling is the adjacent or immediate sibling of the div element. Second one is not the adjacent or immediate sibling. So here we are learning adjacent selector, adjacent sibling selector. So how is the syntax? This is the first sibling and then plus symbol, then this is the second sibling. The second sibling is the direct sibling of the first one or adjacent sibling of the first one. Whatever CSS is written, it will be applicable to that sibling which is the direct sibling of the first selector. So we'll see how it looks. See, only CSS is applicable to paragraph 4 because this is the only adjacent sibling of this div element. That's why. So this is the adjacent sibling selector by using the plus symbol. Then we will see general sibling selector. Now the requirement has changed. We want to provide CSS to all the sibling selector. Means we want to provide CSS to this paragraph as well as this paragraph. How we can write div in the first sibling, then this tilted symbol, then the second sibling. It means whatever written within this curly braces, that will be applicable to this element, which is the sibling of div. So it is applicable to all the p elements which are the sibling of div. Either it is immediate or not, that does not matter. So we'll see the CSS is applicable to both the siblings. This is the general sibling selector by using a tilted symbol. So please keep it in mind how to give CSS to adjacent sibling and to the general sibling. So we have covered all the concept on combinator selector. That is, we have covered descendant selector, child selectors, adjacent sibling selector, general sibling selector. Now we'll jump on to the attribute selector. Attribute selector is one of the important selector, and there are many versions of attribute selector. We'll learn in a bit. So let me go to that particular code where it is. Oh, here. So here we have. Okay. So I use 3 anchor tag, and as you know, anchor tag is an inline element. That's why they are displayed side by side. So that inline and block I cover in my HTML5 videos. Please go through that. So now the requirement is I want to apply some CSS to those anchor tag which are having attribute as target. This is the target attribute. See, anchor tag having href is one attribute and target is having another attribute. Now we want to apply CSS to those anchor tag having the target attribute. So how we can do that? For attribute selection, this is the syntax, means square bracket then attribute name. It means we are applying the CSS in background color to those anchor tag which is having attribute as target. So if you see in HTML, first anchor tag does not have the attribute target. Last two having the attribute as target. So the CSS is applicable to these last two anchor tag. We'll see. Let me save it. See, the CSS means the background color is green is applicable to last two anchor tag because they are having the attribute target. First one does not have the attribute target. Okay, so this is how. So even this anchor tag is not needed actually. If we remove this, then also it will work. For better clarity, we have to use the anchor tag. It means the CSS is applicable to the anchor tag having attribute target. So this is about the attribute selector. We will learn one more variation of attribute selector. We want to be more specific. Like we want to use attribute along with the specified values. We'll see. So this background color yellow will be applicable to those anchor tag having attribute target, and target attribute should have a value as underscore blank. If you go to our HTML page, only one anchor tag having the attribute as underscore blank. So only the second anchor tag CSS will change. We'll see. It is applicable to the second anchor tag. Okay. So this way, like we can specify the attribute name along with the value for more specificity. Okay. So we'll learn some few more variation of this attribute selector. So we'll comment this. Let me uncomment this one. Okay. So let me save it. So here if you are seeing there are 3 span element. A span is an inline element, that's why they are displayed in a row. Now the requirement is we want to apply CSS to those span element which is having title, which are having title attribute as well as title attribute should have a value first. See, title is having more than one value, a list of values, and out of the list of the value we should have one value as first. So how we can do that? We can do that by using this. So using this syntax, this is square bracket, the attribute name, then this is the tilted symbol equal to first. It means it will select those elements which are having title attribute, and title attribute should have one value as first. So we'll see in HTML, if you see these first two span element having the title attribute value as first, so CSS will be applicable to the first two span element. We'll see in a little bit. Let me save it. See, the first two means the background color yellow is applicable to the first two span element. This is how we can apply the attribute selector for attribute having a list of values, and this should match with one values. If we are having one value, then we can use equal to symbol. If we are having the attribute having a list of value, we can use this tilde symbol and just match with one value. If it is matched with one value, then CSS will be applied. Now this is one more variation of attribute selector. We'll see. Let me comment this also. Okay, here we go. Let me uncomment this also. Let me save it. Okay. So now the requirement is, I want some CSS applicable to those elements which is having attribute as class, and attribute value should be starting with top word. It should start with top word. So in this case, like if you see this h1 element class value is starting with the top, and for the last p element, even though it is starting with the top, but it is not a single word, it is a combination of top and content. So we will see the CSS will be applicable to only these first two elements, it won't applicable to the last one. So for this kind of selection, means the class attribute will select those elements having class attribute, and class attribute should have a value starting with top. For that we have to use this pipe character equal to that value. We'll see. See, first two means the CSS will be applicable to the first two because they are starting with top, but the second one, although it is starting with top, but it is like appended with one more word. So if it is a multi-word, how we can apply the CSS? If we will separate this word by a hyphen. See, now the CSS is applicable to the last one also. Okay, if you remove this, it will be removed. Now again one more variations. So please note it on all those variations. There are lots of variation of attribute selector. Now the requirement has changed. Now the requirement is we want to select those element having class attribute, and class attribute value should start with a top. It does not matter whether it is a single word or combination of word. So here above example, the CSS is not applicable to this p element because it's a combination of top and content. But we want CSS to applicable to this element along with the above two element. The syntax for this we will see in a bit. See, for syntax for this is this one. So we're having a cap symbol. Okay, this is the attribute name, then cap equal to, then attribute value. It will select, this CSS will be applicable to those elements having class attribute, and class attribute should start with a top, even though it is of a multi-word, it does not matter. We'll see, it is applicable to all the three elements, even though it is it is a combination of two words, it is applicable to this also. So we have learned how to use the attribute selector. If you exactly know the value by using equal to. If you know a list of value, then we have to use list of value means this tilted symbol. If something is starting with some letter, then a pipe symbol, and in pipe symbol there is a constraint like it should be a single word, it should be a combination of word. To remove that constraint, we use the cap symbol. We have to use this cap symbol. Okay, now it is all about the starting. Now we want our CSS to add to some element on the basis of the some means on the basis of ending on some words. So now we want to add the CSS to those HTML elements which are having the class attribute, and this class attribute value should end with a test. Now we'll concentrate on ending. So we learn a lot more on starting value. Now we will focus on ending value. So we want the CSS to apply to those elements which is having the class attribute, and class attribute value should end with test. So this will be applicable to this first element, the second and third. But this second for the second element CSS won't be applied because it is not ending with test. We'll see how. For ending we have to use this symbol, square bracket as for the attribute selector, then attribute name, and dollar symbol equal to the ending value. Means it will, the CSS background yellow will be applicable to those elements which is having the class attribute, and class attribute should end with test. We'll see this second element for the second content, the CSS is not applied because the second content is having the class as second. It is not ending with test. If you make it end with the test by adding this one, so we'll see the CSS will be applicable. Okay, so let me add test along with second, then also the CSS will be applicable. Okay, so it should end with test. This is about the ending values, how to apply using particular CSS using attribute selector. Then we learn about the exact, then list of value, then starting, then ending value. Then we want to apply some CSS to those attributes having values which contain a particular, which contain a specific character or specific word, whether it is at the first or end, it does not matter. So for that, how we can do that, we'll go to our CSS, comment this. So we need to use this syntax. What is this syntax? We have to use the attribute name, then asterisk symbol equal to, and whatever the character or word will specify, it will mean this CSS will be applicable to those elements which is having attribute class, and this class should have this character or this word. So if you go to our HTML, means the TE is present in here because it is TE. Second, there is no TE, only E is present. Third also we have TE, and fourth also we have TE. So all those means CSS will be applicable to all those elements except the second one. And wherever it will find the TE, it will apply, no matter whether it is first or second. So if you see the second element is not the CSS is not applied to the second element because it is not having the T. So if you add, it is having E. If you add one more T here, then CSS will be applicable, no matter wherever you will add, whether it is start, between, middle. If you add the start also, it will work. No changes, it is working. So no matter. So means if you want to apply CSS to some attribute using attribute selector, and if you don't know the exact value but we know the some of the character of that value, then we can apply by using the asterisk symbols of attribute selector. So I guess up to this it is clear. So let me revise some of the attribute selector one more time. So we'll comment this one. So there are variety of attribute category of attribute selector. To use the attribute selector, we have to use the square bracket, then corresponding attribute name. Then whatever CSS you have to provide within the curly braces. Then if you want to use attribute name along with the values, exact value, then you have to use the equal to symbol. If you want to add CSS to some attribute having a list of value, and we want to add the CSS to those elements which is having attribute and value as first, attribute as title and value as first. Means by using this asterisk symbol we can add. It means it will added, this CSS will be added to those elements which is having the title attribute and having one element as first among the list of element available in title. If you want to add some CSS to those attributes, means attribute having value starting with top, then we have to use this pipe character. But this is having a constraint, means this top should be a single word. If it is a combination of words, it should be separated by hyphen. But if you want to remove that constraint, then we have to use the characters. Okay, so it will select all those elements having class attribute and those starting with the top. Even if it is not a single word, it is of no matter. And if you want to add some CSS to some element having a specific attribute that ends with a specific word, then use this dollar symbol. Means the CSS will be applicable to those elements which is having attribute class and those which are ending with test. And we have learned a lot more about the start and end value. Now we will know something about if this attribute selector, if now the requirement is we want to apply the CSS to those elements which is having a specific attribute and value, value should match at least the 2 to 3 characters of whatever the character is specified. So we can use the asterisk symbol. Means it will be the CSS will be applicable to those elements having class attribute and value should have this TE character, TE word, wherever it is present, whether it is first, last, middle, it does not matter. After this we learn different type of attribute selector. So now we'll see one practical example of attribute selector. Usually we use attribute selector in form element. So here is my form. Let me uncomment this. Okay, let me uncomment this. Here is my form element. Let me save it. See, my form, you know that form element are also inline element, that's why they are displayed in a single line. Even button is also one inline element, that is also a form element. Okay, so all the form elements are inline element, that's why they are displayed in a single line. So we want to apply some CSS to this form element. Now the requirement is I want to apply some CSS to this to input tag. Means to the input tag having attribute as type and value should be text. So if you see, we have 3 input tag in our form. 2 having type as text, 1 is having type as password, and third one is also having type as button. So there are 4 input tag. 2 is having type text, 1 is having type password, third one is having type button. And the requirement is we want to apply CSS to those input element which is having type equal to text. Okay, so we'll see how it is written. See, so here it is the block of code. So it means it will select the input element, it will select those input element which is having attribute type, and type should have a value text. If it is a password, it won't select. If it is a button, it won't select, only type. And whatever CSS will be written within this bracket, it will be applicable to those input element having type attribute, and type attribute should have a text value. We'll see how. Let me save it. See, so there are 2 form element, one first name and second one last name having type equal to text, and we have written some CSS for that. What is the CSS? The background color is yellow, that's why it is displaying yellow color, and color means within the input field the text should be displaying blue color, so it is being displayed in blue color. And as form element is a inline element, to display in a top down fashion we have to give display block, so that's why 2 input element are displayed in a top down fashion. And we can give some width to the input element. After converting display as block, we can give the width to the input element. So please remember this important concept, means this display property, how we can convert the inline element to the block element by using display block. Okay, so we'll cover this display property more in our specific CSS classes. So for time being, just remember this. Okay, so if you see, no CSS is being applied to the password field, and if you want to apply some CSS to password, how we can do that? So for that, what we can do, input, we want to apply the CSS to the input field having type attribute equal to password, then curly braces for CSS. Here we will give some margin bottom, because it is like overlapping with the login button. That's why we'll give some margin button as 10 pixels so that it will have some space below that. So if you see how it changed, so let me scroll down, make it. So now you will see how it looks. See, we are the margin button is applicable to the password field. That's why now we are seeing some space between the password field and the login button. Okay, in this way, like this CSS is applicable to only those input element having type equal to password. Please make sure. And for the button, if you want to apply, so button is having type as type equal to button. If you are seeing in HTML page, type equal to button. So in CSS we have input type equal to button. For button we will applying CSS background color is green, color is white, means button color is green, background color, and the letter is displayed in white color. So we have written display as block because button by default is a inline element. If we remove this, it will be display just side by the password field. You will see because it's an inline element. Okay. So for displaying just below the password, we have to give display block. Then we can give width. Then we have given margin left to give some space to the left hand side. We'll cover this margin in more in our CSS class. Okay. And this password text is written just side by the password. If we want to move this password to the top, what we have to do? We have to make this password field as block. Then only this will work. We'll see. Password text will, password label will go on at the top. Okay. So this is how we have applied some CSS to the button. In this way we can apply. So if we'll make this button little, give some little more means margin, it will be aligned to the password field. What if it will means it will like shifted little bit from the left hand side. In this way we can apply some CSS to the specific form element by using the attribute selector. This is the practical use of attribute selector. Please keep it in mind how we are using. So we have covered the simple selector. In simple selector we have covered ID, class, element selector, then universal selector. Then we have covered the combinator selector, in which we covered the descending selector, child selector, general sibling, adjacent sibling. Then we cover the attribute selector, different type of attribute selector, how to give some CSS to some element, having attribute, having a list of attribute, having attribute starting with a specific word, having ending with specific word containing a specific characters. All those steps we have looked into that, and we have seen a practical example of attribute selector, means how we can change, how we can give some CSS to our input element by using the attribute. It is not actually the input element, we can say the form element by using the attribute selector. Okay, I guess up to this everything is clear. So for today we cover almost most of the concept and most of the important things. Even we have covered the specificity. So let me revise it. So first of all, ID is having the highest priority specificity, then the class is having the second highest specificity, then we have element having the third highest specificity, then universal selector is having the fourth highest specificity. So this is the specificity order, and please keep it in mind. This is important. So whatever we have covered till now, we have covered a lot more concepts, so please keep it in mind. It is the important concept, and for today's session this is like we cover almost everything, so most of the important concept in today's training sessions. And please, so for today this is, we need to wind up. We have already covered a lot more concepts. We have covered a lot of concepts, and it will be getting bulky if I will cover few more concepts. So for today's session we are winding up. Thank you guys for watching my videos, and it is a request to all of you guys, please comment my videos, please give some feedback, please share, subscribe, and please be tuned with me. and tomorrow we'll meet again for day 2 CSS3 tutorial. Till then, do whatever you want to do. Please learn the CSS concept. We'll meet again. Till then, bye.